The sky over Earth was on fire. Cities had turned into ashes. Buildings were broken like toys. The great armies of Earth had fallen one by one. Tanks were burned, jets lay crashed, and radio towers were silent. All over the world, there was only smoke, silence, and death. The alien race called the Zernak had arrived just 2 months ago. No one knew where they came from. They didn't speak. They didn't ask for peace. They only attacked. Their ships were black like shadows, floating high in the sky. Their weapons were too powerful. In only 60 days, the Zernak destroyed every army, every ship, every satellite. They thought they had won. They sent out one final message. Humanity is finished. But deep under the mountains of Alaska, inside a secret bunker made of steel and rock, a man slowly opened his eyes. His name was Captain Raynor. He had been asleep in a cryopod hidden from the war. The room around him was dark and cold. Lights flickered above. A voice from the computer said, "Cryo rest complete. System online." Raynor sat up, confused. His head hurt. His body felt weak. But then the memories came rushing back. The war, the loss, the last order, go underground and wait. Raynor stood and looked at the screens. One by one, they turned on. Every single one showed the same message. No signal. Earth's command was gone. He walked to the radio and tried to connect to HQ. Nothing. Only silence. He moved through the bunker, checking cameras and sensors. The surface showed burned trees, broken roads, and empty towns. He knew then the aliens had won. But then, something strange happened. On one of the small radar screens, a green dot blinked. It was a signal, a weak one, coming from the east. Raynor pressed a button and tried to connect. Static filled the room. Then a voice came through. It was soft, almost scared. A young voice. "Hello? Is anyone out there? My name is Lyra. Please, someone answer. I'm in Sector 9. I'm not alone. They missed us. Please help." Raynor's heart jumped. Someone else was alive. A survivor. Maybe more. He leaned forward and replied, "Lyra, this is Captain Raynor, Earth Defense. Unit, stay where you are. I'm coming." Outside the bunker, the world was cold and silent. Dead machines lay in the snow. Smoke rose in the distance. Raynor wore his armored suit, built with Earth's last military tech. It helped him move faster, think quicker, fight harder. He carried a pulse rifle and a bag full of tools. He had no team now, but he still had a mission: protect what was left. As Raynor moved across the broken land, he saw the signs of war. A giant robot, half buried in a crater. A child's toy on the ground, next to a burnt home. Bodies covered in dust. And then he heard it, the sound of a drone flying overhead. He quickly hid behind a rock. The drone was alien, dark and silent. It scanned the area and flew away. Raynor watched it closely. It didn't stop. It didn't attack. That's when he realized something important. The Zernak believed they had won. They were not hunting anymore. They had stopped checking the ground. They thought no human could survive. But they were wrong. Raynor reached an old train station half buried in snow. It had a secret door under the floor. When he opened it, a ladder led him down into darkness. He climbed down slowly, gun ready. At the bottom was a small room lit by weak lights, and in the center, sitting on the ground, was a teenage girl, thin, dirty, but alive. Lyra looked up at him with wide eyes. "You're real," she whispered. "You really came?" Raynor helped her up. She showed him something, a small device strapped to her wrist. "This has all the data from Earth Command," she said. "Before they fell, my father gave it to me. He said it holds the Ember." "Protocol." Rayner froze. Ember Protocol was Earth's last secret weapon plan, something so powerful that even he didn't know all the details. If this device had it, then maybe, just maybe, humanity had one last chance. Lyra looked scared. "I've been hiding here for weeks. I hear them sometimes, the aliens, but they don't come down. I think they believe I'm dead." Rayner nodded. "That's our advantage now. They stopped looking. They think we're finished." He looked at the blinking light on her device. "But we're not. Not yet." They moved deeper into the underground tunnels, toward an old military base hidden beneath the mountains. Rayner remembered the place. It was where the Ember Protocol was designed, a place full of machines, weapons, and codes. If anything could help fight back, it was there. As they walked, the ground shook. Somewhere far above, something large was landing, maybe a ship, maybe more aliens returning. Rayner looked at Lyra. "We have to move fast," he said. "They don't know we're alive, but they will soon." Lyra asked, "Do you think we can stop them?" Rayner didn't answer right away. He looked up at the cracked ceiling, at the dust falling from above. Then he said in a calm voice, "We don't need to stop them today. We just need to make them regret ever thinking we were gone." And in that moment, the war for Earth began. Again, not with armies, not with fleets, but with two survivors standing in the shadows of the end. Ready to remind the galaxy, humanity doesn't break. It fights, and it rises. Always. Rayner and Lyra moved carefully through the dark tunnels beneath the mountain. The air was cold and dry. Every step echoed softly. They passed old signs and broken machines that showed how busy this place once was. This was Earth's last stronghold, now silent and forgotten. But Rayner knew it still held secrets and hope. Lyra held tightly to the small device on her wrist. "This is the memory chip," she said. "It has plans, codes, and messages from Earth Command before everything was lost." Rayner studied the glowing screen. Strange symbols and maps appeared. "This might help us fight back," he said quietly. They reached a heavy steel door with a blinking red light. Rayner tapped a secret code on the keypad. The door hissed open, slowly, revealing a large room full of weapons, armor, and old computers. Dust covered everything. "This is the weapons vault," Rayner said. "We can use these to prepare." Lyra walked over to a workbench. She picked up a small drone, dusty but intact. "We can fix these," she said excitedly. "They will help us watch the surface. The Zurnak don't expect any resistance now." Rayner smiled. "Good. We need every advantage." As they worked, the bunker's main screen flickered. A map of Earth showed tiny green dots scattered here and there. "There are others," Lyra said. "Small groups, survivors, hiding like us." Rayner nodded. "We must find them. We can't win alone." Suddenly, the alarm sounded loudly. Red lights flashed. Rayner's heart raced. "What is it?" Lyra asked. The computer voice said, "Warning! Alien scout ships detected near the mountain range." Rayner grabbed his rifle. "They're coming closer. They're checking again." Outside, the cold wind blew. The first alien ship appeared in the sky, low and silent. Rayner looked at Lyra. "We have to hide. They can't find us." But Lyra shook her head. "We can't run forever. We have to fight smart." Rayner agreed. He had a plan. "We will use the old defenses, the automated turrets. They still work, but they need power." Lyra helped him connect wires and start the machines. Slowly, the turrets hummed to life. The alien scouts landed near the base's entrance. They stepped out, tall and dark, with sharp eyes and strange weapons. They scanned the area carefully. Rayner held his breath, waiting for the right moment. Suddenly, the turrets fired bright lasers. The aliens shouted and tried to hide. The battle was quick but fierce. Rayner and Lyra worked together, controlling the defenses. One alien fell, then another. The rest retreated back to their ship. After the fight, Raynor looked at Lyra with new hope. "We showed them we are not gone." Lyra smiled. "They think the war is over, but we are still here." Raynor knew the fight had just begun. But now, they were not alone. Together they would find the others. Together they would rise. After the battle, Raynor and Lyra knew they had little time. The alien scouts would tell the Zernak commanders about the fight. The enemies would come back, and they would come in force. They had to act fast. Using the device on Lyra's wrist, Raynor sent a secret message out. It was a call for all survivors, a beacon in the dark. "This signal is weak," he told Lyra, "but it might reach someone out there." Lyra nodded, hope shining in her eyes. Someone will answer. They spent hours repairing old communication machines. The bunker's radio crackled with static, then faint voices. One was a man's voice, strong but tired. "This is Sergeant Mina, East Sector. We hear you. We're alive." Raynor smiled. "You're not alone, Mina. We're here. We're coming." Lyra looked worried. "The Zernak will send more ships soon. We need a plan to protect these people." Raynor agreed. "We can't fight their ships yet, but we can use the land. The mountains, forests, they are our allies." He looked at the maps on the device. "We will build traps and hideouts. We will make them pay for every step." That night, the bunker was alive with quiet activity. Raynor trained Lyra on how to use the weapons and drones. She was quick to learn, her eyes fierce with determination. "We are more than survivors," she said. "We are warriors now." Suddenly, the ground shook hard. The bunker's alarms screamed. Raynor grabbed his rifle. "They're here! The main fleet!" Lyra's heart pounded. Outside, huge ships blocked the sky like dark clouds. The Zernak had returned. Raynor ran to the control room. The computers showed hundreds of enemy soldiers preparing to enter the mountain. "We can't hold them with guns alone," Raynor said. "We must use the Ember Protocol." Lyra looked at him, eyes wide. "What is it?" Raynor hesitated. "It's a secret weapon, Earth's last hope. But it's dangerous. It could change everything, or destroy us all." As the enemy, soldiers advanced. Raynor and Lyra moved quickly to the secret chamber deep in the bunker. There, they found a strange machine glowing with blue light. It hummed like a living thing. Raynor placed the device from Lyra's wrist into a slot on the machine. The light grew stronger. "Are you ready?" Raynor asked. Lyra nodded. "We have no choice." The machine activated, sending waves of energy through the mountain. Outside, the ground trembled. The enemy stopped, confused. Their ships shook, and strange lights flashed in the sky. Raynor and Lyra watched the screens. "The Ember Protocol is working," Raynor said. "It's disrupting their technology." The Zernak soldiers looked lost, their weapons failing. The mountain became their fortress, but the power of the machine was growing too strong. The walls shook. Cracks appeared in the floor. Raynor knew the danger. "We must shut it down soon, or it will blow the whole mountain." Lyra fought the controls. "Just a little more time," she said. The machine pulsed with light, then suddenly stopped. The silence was loud. Outside, the enemy ships retreated. The Zernak were beaten back, but the cost was clear. The bunker was damaged, and the machine was offline. Raynor looked at Lyra. "We bought time. Now we find the others and prepare for the real fight." Lyra smiled, tired but strong. "We are not done yet. Humanity will fight back." As dawn broke, the survivors in the mountains stood ready. The war was far from over, but hope had returned. "Let me know when The morning light filtered through the cracks in the bunker's walls. Raynor and Lyra worked quickly to repair what they could. The Ember Protocol machine was damaged, but not destroyed. They needed it to be ready if the Zernak came back stronger. Outside, The world seemed quiet. Snow covered the broken land like a cold blanket, but Raynor knew silence was dangerous. The enemy could return any time, and this time they would be ready for a fight. Lyra checked the device on her wrist. The message to survivors had brought replies. Small groups of humans were alive, hiding in forests, caves, and old cities. Raynor studied the map. We need to gather them. Together, we are stronger. They planned a journey to find the survivors. It would be risky. The Zernak controlled the skies, and their patrols were everywhere. But they had no choice. The hope of humanity depended on it. As they prepared to leave, Raynor gave Lyra a small pistol. "For protection," he said. "And remember, trust no one easily. The war has changed people." Lyra nodded, feeling the weight of the task ahead. They left the bunker and stepped into the cold world. The wind bit their faces. The sky was gray, heavy with clouds. Every sound was sharp: a bird's cry, the crunch of snow, the distant rumble of machines. Their first stop was an old town 100 miles away. It was a ghost town now. Empty streets, broken windows, and silence. But in the basement of a ruined library, they found a small group of survivors. Men and women, young and old, tired but alive. Raynor spoke to them calmly. "We are building a resistance. The Zernak think they have won. They are wrong. We have a secret weapon, and we have hope." The survivors listened, eyes wide. Some had lost everything. Others still held on to their courage. One man, named Cole, stepped forward. "We want to fight. We've been hiding, but it's time to stand." Raynor smiled. "Good. We need every hand. We'll train you, prepare you. This is not just survival. It's a battle for our future." That night, the survivors gathered around a small fire. Raynor told stories of old battles, of Earth's strength and spirit. Lyra shared what she learned about the Ember Protocol. The fire flickered in their eyes, a small flame of hope in a dark world. But danger was never far. As they rested, a faint noise came from outside. Raynor stood quickly, signaling everyone to be quiet. The noise grew louder, footsteps, heavy and slow. They hid in the shadows. Through the broken window, they saw alien soldiers moving carefully, scanning for signs of life. Raynor's heart pounded. "They're close," he whispered. "We have to move." With the survivors, they slipped out through a secret tunnel beneath the library. The Zernak searched the town, but found no one. Raynor looked back once, feeling the weight of loss, but also the strength of survival. They traveled through forests and hills, avoiding patrols. Along the way, they met more survivors: farmers, scientists, former soldiers, all ready to fight back. Each new person brought hope and courage. Each step forward was a small victory. But Raynor knew the real battle was still ahead. The Zernak had power, weapons, and numbers, yet humanity had something stronger: will, courage, and the fight to live. As night fell, the growing group found shelter in a hidden valley. Raynor looked at Lyra. "We're building more than a resistance. We're building a future." Lyra smiled tiredly, but fiercely. "And we will win." The war was far from over, but now the survivors were no longer alone. They were ready to fight back. Days passed in the hidden valley, and the group of survivors grew stronger. Raynor and Lyra worked hard to train everyone. They taught how to use old weapons, how to move quietly, and how to watch the skies for enemy ships. The survivors listened carefully. They wanted to fight, but they also knew the Zernak were powerful. Raynor looked around at the faces, young and old, scared but determined. He felt a deep responsibility. "We must be smart," he told them. "The Zernak have big ships and strong weapons. We need to use the land to our advantage." Lyra worked with the engineers to fix drones and machines from the old bunker. They created traps along the mountain paths and set up secret alarms. "If the enemy comes, we'll know," Lyra said, "and we will be ready." One night, as they gathered around the fire, a scout rushed into the camp out of breath. "Alien patrols near the river," he warned. "They are searching for us." Raynor stood quickly. "We need to move before they find us." The group packed their few belongings and prepared to leave. The cold night air was sharp, and shadows moved in the trees. The Zernak were close. As they moved quietly through the forest, Lyra noticed something strange on the ground. Footprints, but different from the Zernak's. They were larger, and the shape was unfamiliar. "What is this?" she whispered. Raynor studied the prints. "Not Zernak, something else. Maybe another enemy, or maybe someone else fighting for survival." The group's path took them to an old military base. It was damaged, but still standing. Raynor hoped to find supplies and weapons there. Inside, they found boxes of food, ammo, and old battle suits. As they explored, a sudden noise stopped them. From the shadows, a figure stepped forward. It was a woman, wearing worn armor and carrying a heavy rifle. Her eyes were sharp and tired. "Who are you?" Raynor asked carefully. "I'm Captain Sella," she said. "I lead a group of survivors in the West. We've been fighting the Zernak for years. We've heard your signal. We want to join forces." Raynor felt a spark of hope. "We need allies. Together we can fight better." Sella smiled faintly. "Then let's plan. The Zernak are not invincible." For the first time in a long while, the survivors felt something new. Strength in numbers. But even as they planned, a new threat waited in the dark. The Zernak had spies among the survivors. Someone was watching them, waiting to betray. Raynor did not know who, but he knew one thing. Trust would be the hardest battle of all. The days after Captain Sella's arrival were busy. Raynor, Lyra, and Sella worked together to plan their next moves. Their groups combined had more people, more weapons, and more hope. But the fear of a spy stayed in Raynor's mind. One evening, Raynor called a meeting. "Someone here is helping the Zernak. They know our plans. We must find out who it is." The survivors looked around nervously. No one spoke. Trust was fragile. Lyra suggested, "We watch carefully. Watch for strange actions or secret meetings." Raynor agreed. "We can't act fast, but we must be ready." Meanwhile, the group prepared for an attack. They set traps in the forest and near the mountain paths. The survivors practiced fighting in teams, learning to cover each other. One night, as the camp slept, Lyra was on watch. The moon was full and the shadows were deep. Suddenly, she heard a noise, soft footsteps coming through the trees. She moved quietly toward the sound. As she got closer, she saw a figure slipping away from the camp with a small radio. Lyra's heart pounded. She called Raynor softly. Together, they followed the figure. The figure stopped near a rocky hill and sent a message. Lyra and Raynor saw the shadow of a Zernak ship in the sky, ready to attack. The spy was sending their location. They waited until the figure left, then returned to camp. Raynor stood before everyone. "We found the traitor. They are sending our position to the enemy." The survivors were shocked. No one guessed who it could be. Raynor said, "We must act fast. The Zernak will attack soon." They prepared defenses, setting up in the forest and around the camp. The survivors felt fear, but also courage. They would fight to protect their new home. At dawn, the sky darkened with Zernak ships. The enemy descended like a storm. Raynor, Lyra, Sella, and the survivors fought hard. The traps slowed the enemy, and the fighters used every skill they had learned. The battle was fierce. Shots echoed through the trees. Explosions lit the sky. The survivors held their ground, surprising the Zernak with their strength. But the spies' betrayal had cost them precious time. The Zernak pushed forward, breaking through some defenses. In the heat of battle, Raynor saw the traitor, a young man named Jaren. His eyes were cold, and he fought for the enemy. Raynor's heart broke. "Why?" he shouted as they clashed. Jaren only smiled. "You can't win. The Zernak will rule." Raynor fought harder. With Lyra and Sela by his side, he pushed Jaren back. The traitor ran into the forest, disappearing into the shadows. The survivors won the battle, but it was not the end. Raynor knew the war would continue. Trust was broken, but hope was alive. As the sun rose, the survivors looked to the future. They had beaten the enemy once more, but the fight for humanity's survival was far from over. The night after the battle was quiet, but tense. The survivors were tired and wounded, but their spirit was strong. Raynor stood on a hill, looking at the stars above. He thought about everything they had lost, friends, homes, the world as it once was. But he also thought about what they still had, hope. Lyra joined him. "We can't give up now," she said softly. "The Ember Protocol is still with us. It's our chance." Raynor nodded. "Yes, but we must be careful. The Zernak will come again, and this time they will be prepared." The group worked through the night, repairing the Ember Protocol machine. The engineers rewired circuits and tested the power supply. The machine hummed with a faint blue light, a sign it was ready. Raynor gathered the survivors. "This machine can turn the tide of the war. It can stop the Zernak from controlling the stars, but it needs a powerful energy source." Sela stepped forward. "We have one. The old power station nearby is still running barely. We can use it." The plan was risky. They had to reach the power station, activate it, and bring its energy to the Ember Protocol machine, all while avoiding Zernak patrols. Raynor, Lyra, and a small team set out at dawn. The journey was dangerous, with enemy drones searching the skies. They moved quickly, hiding in shadows, crossing frozen rivers, and climbing rocky hills. When they reached the power station, it was nearly destroyed. Sparks flew from broken wires, and the cold wind howled through the broken windows. Lyra worked on the controls, her hands steady despite the cold. "Almost there," she whispered. Suddenly, alarms blared. Zernak troops surrounded the building. The battle began again. Fierce and desperate, Raynor and the others fought to hold the enemy back while Lyra finished her work. The air was filled with shouts, gunfire, and the smell of smoke. Finally, Lyra shouted, "It's ready! Power is coming!" A surge of blue light flowed through cables, reaching the Ember Protocol machine back at the camp. At that moment, the sky above the survivors lit up with strange energy waves. The Zernak ships faltered, their weapons went dark, and their shields dropped. Raynor smiled. "It's working. The Ember Protocol is turning their power against them." The survivors cheered as the enemy retreated. The war was far from over, but humanity had found a way to fight back, stronger and smarter. Back at the camp, Raynor looked at the stars again. "We lost much, but we are still here. They beat us in battle, but they forgot to check who was left standing." Lyra joined him, hope shining in her eyes. "We are not just survivors. We are the defenders of humanity." And so, with courage, hope, and the power of the Ember Protocol, the survivors prepared for the next fight, ready to reclaim their world and their future.